And do we have any new business? Yeah.
Mayor, I guess you kind of alluded earlier to an issue that's certainly bubbled up recently, and there's a number of residents of the West Vernon Place who are still here, and understanding what you were saying in terms of the need to give people an opportunity to be heard on this. I still think it's important that we do bring this up to a vote for reconsideration of the inclusion of the West Vernon Place sidewalks in the 2019 infill sidewalk program. And I'm not exactly sure how you want to handle that, but I do want to put it out there on the record that we went through, Councilmember Pape and I went through the neighborhood and knocked on every door and to try to understand what the concerns were, not only about the sidewalks, but about several other matters. Before the meeting, I handed out a pie chart which shows essentially the results of the survey regarding the sidewalk question. We asked the following question: the city is committed to installing sidewalks throughout the city to improve walkability and safety. Sidewalks are scheduled to be installed in your neighborhood this summer. Please indicate the choice that most closely reflects your view. And we reached 53 of 82 households at 65%. In other words, we talked to someone in that household. The results were that 60% or 32 households opposed the sidewalks, many very strenuously. There were 26% or 14 households were indifferent, but generally the comment was, I don't see why we need them, but it's okay either way. And there were 13%, 7 households that actually favored the sidewalks and would like to have them. Given you take the number of households that were opposed and compare that to the number that were in favor, it's basically almost a 5-to-1 opposed. And clearly from the meetings that we've had, I think the residents, for a variety of reasons, many of which I think do have some merit, at least to consider, including, well, I won't repeat them all because we've probably heard them, but I'd like to make a motion that due to an overwhelming resident opposition to installing sidewalks in West Vernon Place neighborhood at this time, based on a variety of potentially valid concerns, including the unique nature of the area as a single access point neighborhood and resulting lower levels of non-resident traffic, steep terrain, a history of safety in the neighborhood without the sidewalks, and concerns that the city address other more pressing resident concerns like stormwater management from public right-of-ways. I move that the City Council direct staff to not proceed further this fiscal year with the work currently scheduled in West Vernon Place as part of the 2019 sidewalk infill project.
And I would second that, assuming that we can we do that? That's
we need to have a discussion. Do we have a discussion after the second?
Mayor, I have a concern with the council policies. So under the council rules, to amend the agenda, it has to go through this. There's nothing that talks about amending the agenda at a meeting. It talks about amending the agenda with the approval of the mayor or the city administrator. The city clerk can in an emergency situation, which is one of the reasons this might be better to table this motion and move it to another meeting and put this on the agenda at another meeting.
Well, okay.
If that's what the council desires.
Actually, right now, we have somebody who's made a motion.
Right.
That person has to withdraw the motion before we do anything.
Sure.
If he doesn't withdraw the motion, then we have to have a discussion. But my question is, the discussion before the second or after the second?
That's a good question. I'll have to look here. When do you? Yeah, the discussion's usually before the motion. Let me.
That's true.
But in parliamentary,
Yeah.
parliamentary, you would have the discussion
Yes, you can have.
after, but
It's-
we don't do
We
that.
haven't adopted
Yes.
this.
I know.
And the problem with having the discussion before is we didn't know the nature of the motion, so we wouldn't have had anything to discuss, at least specific to the motion.
My concern is just getting it in front of the council for consideration. And I don't know.
And my other concern, Mayor, would just be that I know that we're getting ready to go out for bids, and we don't want bids to occur for something that we may, in fact, at a next council meeting, potentially,
Okay.
Not.
Well, from a staff perspective, we could delay bids. We're done with the engineering of the streets, and so we could, upon just even consensus of the council, we can hold on putting it out to bid. We don't have to put it out to bid. We can wait until the council gathers again. We notice a public meeting, have a conversation about sidewalks, and then we go out to bid. We can construct sidewalks in October, November, if that's still the direction that the council would like
Right,
to head.
and there was a public meeting that was referred to tonight. Which council members were present at that meeting? So we have 2 or 4. 3 of the council persons, including myself, are not privileged to any of the information discussed at that meeting. We have a plan in place, and I'm not saying that we need to disregard what you're saying. All I'm just speaking about is process. I'm not talking about whether there's a merit to postponing this or going forward with it. There is a process, and that's my job as the mayor, is to make sure that we stay in the right process. Because the process has to be tied to transparency and appropriateness. If we make a decision to go against a plan that's already been accepted by the council, and someone makes a motion to that effect without any discussion on the part of the council prior to it, and without any opportunity for the public to give input opposing that, because, again, it's not on the agenda, it's doing a disservice to the citizens under that circumstance. Not to say that this can't come up, it just may not be the place for it. That's what I was trying to say earlier. And I'd also say that it may be somewhat unfair for the council to even consider the motion, since we haven't had a discussion on whether this is the right thing to do or not. We have to make decisions that are what's best for the entire city of Merriam, including West Vernon Place. So that has to be considered as well. My recommendation, and again, at this point, I don't know what I would do. I think we talked about the possibility of setting up a work session where the council can talk about this issue specifically, and where the citizens of Merriam who are so concerned about it could attend. Now, they can attend and hear the discussion, and then a decision at that point could be made to place it on the agenda of a future council meeting where we can make a motion, and the people can come and talk to the council again about their wishes for and against this project. And also, this may have consequences go well beyond West Vernon Place. We've got other sidewalk projects on the books now. But what would this mean with regard to those? So it's a larger issue. Now, what I just described postpones the project. It may meet your needs, but it doesn't say there won't be projects for the year. So I think that's a larger conversation that we need to have once the rest of the council has been informed, maybe better informed about what's going on. That's just my thoughts.
May I make a suggestion that we table the motion and take it up on the 24th? Because I'm not going to be here on the 10th. I'd like to be here for this discussion. Of June.
That can be a suggestion. Again, the problem we're facing with right now, procedurally speaking, is we have a motion.
Well, if
We can request it be withdrawn.
Yeah, it can be.
We can.
If you could reject your own motion, say take it off and we table.
My concern is just that that this does get a vote to reconsider this. I just think that's, it's really important that we do discuss it, and I hear what you're saying. So, how do we know we're going to be able to talk about it again in time to really just before we spend money on the
If we
contract?
If we
Make a motion not to go to bid until.
yeah, but that's still a
Further
motion
direction.
that's not. I think that we could do this through consensus to have you set up a work session.
Administratively, I just won't go to bid. It sounds like this is not a settled issue. We just won't go to bid. We still have intentions to put sidewalks in West Vernon, but we also are not going to go to bid until we talk about it again and we get clearance from council.
And that can be our
And
direction.
we'll just put it on we'll put a work session on the next agenda.
And since you've brought it up as an issue
As new
under
business, it
new
becomes-
business,
it becomes old
it's part
business,
of the
yeah.
public record that it is something that you want to have us consider.
Okay, well, I'm willing to pull this back until such time as we get a chance to set up something
You're withdrawing your motion.
at this time. Yeah.
All right, then I need to ask the council, is it the consensus of the council that we set a future date for a work session on the part of the council to discuss sidewalks for West Vernon Place?
Let's phase 3 sidewalks.
Phase 3 sidewalks.
Let's call it phase 3 sidewalks.
And the public would be invited to this,
Well, that's.
I mean, it'll be posted as a public meeting.
just to make sure.
Well, we don't have public
Yes.
work sessions and not invite the public. In fact, that's the point. We can invite the public.
But it is a work session, so it is our discussion.
I think the important thing is if it's a work session, then the public doesn't get a voice and doesn't get to say anything.
Right, but they've had a voice tonight. They had a voice the other night. You can represent their voices.
And after the work session in open meeting, we would have a motion, and at that point, people can come and talk.
But yeah, one of the things that you just said was we shouldn't vote on it tonight, which I respect that, is that, you hadn't had a chance to hear what the public said at this meeting. And so I'm wondering about the vehicle of the work session being the most appropriate way to do this. Can we discuss it at the next meeting or the following meeting of council? When Councilman Frisbee,
Or we
Member
can
Frisbee's going to be there.
we can place it on the agenda. We can place it on the agenda without a work session, if that's what you want. But be on the agenda for discussion. That's the same
Mayor
difference.
Sissom,
Absolutely. We can just make it a discussion item on the agenda. Absolutely.
but I think work sessions work very well for the council to really, really, truly have a lot of give and take. Yes, public is invited to come and listen and offer their feedback to council members after that work session, but work sessions work so well because it truly is a more relaxed give and take. So I would encourage a work session before we take it to put back on the council agenda.
And in any case, if we do that, this isn't we're not going forward with this. So we come back and make the determination. That's what we think. So at this point, we have no meeting until June.
Right.
So we're talking a month and a half before we get back to the point where we in the meantime, it's not being built. We're not.
It won't go to bid. Yeah, I just won't put it
It's
to
going to be in
bid.
the same status that it is right now.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I mean,
I would be happy to ask you to go to the 24th because I'll be gone on the 10th. Again, I would like to be involved.
Yeah, I think it's a very important decision. I think that people have spoke, in reference to, and I do understand what the mayor is saying in reference to, one of the things that we are concerned about is being transparent. We're not trying to push anything through one way or another. Waiting this evening is, I'm not opposed to that, making sure that we get it on the agenda. My concern is just that, one, I think Mr. Engel has already expressed that it's not going to go out to bid, so that's stopped this process from moving forward at this time. I think that's important. I guess I would encourage everybody, as far as the rest of the council, to get up there and look at this area. I think it is a unique area. I think that I think every one of us on this council are actually proponents of sidewalks. It's not that sidewalks are bad or evil, and I don't think the people in West Vernon believe that either. It's just their circumstances are different than a lot of other areas in our city, and I think we need to take that into consideration.
And it gives more time for these people to go knock on doors to get more people here.
See, what's the, we're not meeting, the next meeting is the following. Right?
Correct. So am I hearing a work session or a city council meeting?
Is there any reason why we couldn't have a work session between now and the next council?
Just availability of, and noticing.
It doesn't have to be on a Monday night, it could be on Thursday night, it could be on a Saturday during the day.
Sure.
If you want this accelerated, we have a work session between now and the next regular council meeting, and we'll be ready for the next council meeting.
Well, it's my understanding that Mr. Frisbee won't be able to make the next council meeting, so.
Again, I'm not sure it's really legitimate for it to plan
Well, but he can
based
call,
on our
he
attendance.
can call in.
He can't call
Well, you
in.
can call it in, I guess I could.
He's going to be in Africa, whatever. What's the deal?
What's the deal?
They take them by phone call.
They got phones in Africa.
No internet though.
Well, that's just an idea. We can work out the details.
But yeah,
But he needs to know whether we're doing a work session and we're agreeing. I think we should have a work session.
I'd favor a council meeting.
Of course.
Okay, you got, raise your hand if you like work sessions. Raise your hand if you like council meetings. Okay.
I don't think we're getting a whole lot more information. I mean, we're glad to, I think Mr. Neal has shared the results of our survey.
Do
So
we want to wait till Al gets back from Africa? What's the date on that meeting?
June 24th.
does that create an issue for getting this done, Mr. McDonald, on still move forward the process and getting sidewalks put in this year?
Yeah, as Chris said, we can do them later in the year if we need to. So.
Well, and there are some projects that we actually do design one year, and we don't go out to bid till the next year anyway. I mean,
So-
it's,
Make sure you're clear. Then we're going to meet back when Al's available
Right.
from Africa.
I will check with Mr. Frisbee on
Provided
his
he makes it back from
availability.
Africa.
I can run fast.
And then we're going to have it on the agenda,
Yep.
and the agenda item's going to be the part of this project on whether or not it goes forward.
And will it be a discussion item or will it be an action item?
It will be
A discussion item?
both.
I assume that we would take action that evening. I mean, if we're postponing it that long, I think we need to move on it, but.
Okay.
Which means you need an action, if that's what you're saying.
Correct.
That's kind of hard because he doesn't know which way we're going to go. So I would say
That's why it's yeah.
it could be a discussion meeting that ends up with an action. You know?
Absolutely.
That's what it's going
But
to be.
we won't have a motion, though. If it's a
Right.
discussion item, we don't have a motion.
That's what we want.
Okay.
We want it to be a discussion.
Understood.
A motion may be forthcoming from that,
And we can say it's on the 24th of June.
so long as that meets with your African
It
schedule.
does.
Okay.
Mayor, I also had one other
Yes.
thing, under new business. As part of the work that we've been doing, talking with residents in West Vernon Place, one of the issues that's come up has been drainage, stormwater drainage, and specifically, I also handed out a map and a couple of pictures that were taken during this last period of rain, and that's actually the end of the cul-de-sac at West 66th Terrace. And there does appear to be quite a bit of water that actually runs down the street, down to the end of the cul-de-sac, and has essentially cut a ravine, or little minor drainage ravine down through private property, down the hill, and it looks like it goes into backyards down on 65th, West 65th Drive. So my request in question is for staff to potentially look at what a rough cost might be to remediate that particular area with a sewer at the end of West 66th Terrace. And, obviously there's maybe some other issues that we may need to look at as well, but this one specifically seems to be a situation where we do have water running off of the city right of way and potentially damaging private property, and I think we should look at it.
It's not uncommon for you to ask, or for the council to ask the city to look at stuff, so. Are you familiar with this issue already? With that, looking at it's one thing, would we need an engineering study from, if you're talking about sewers, you're talking about cutting across a lot of private
Yeah,
property to get to that sewer.
we would likely need an easement to go towards 67. I mean, we can look into it, figure out what we would need.
Right, yeah. What I'm just wanting to do is start the process of looking at it. I don't have a specific answer. I just feel like we should look at it.